Setsu is a superpowered dude who's been thrown into another world not once, but twice. His second time around, he decides to keep his powers under wraps so he can enjoy his time with his beautiful chicks at school. But his dream of living the easy life gets shattered when he finds out the whole continent is in chaos from a war, putting a damper on his plans to chill. As the school day winds down, Setsu's lost in thought by the window until his childhood friend, Yuui, comes over to chat. He tells her to piss off, worried about ugly rumors, but she couldn't care less. She's just want his meat. Despite his attempts to reason with her, she's not having it and starts messing with his hair, calling him out for looking like a wannabe troublemaker. Yuui offers to give him a trim like she used to do when they were kids, and he reluctantly agrees. Afterwards, he's left staring out the window, wondering how things are going back in the other world. Suddenly, darkness engulfed the room, and a massive glowing magic circle materialized right smack in the middle of the classroom. While everyone else freaked out, Setsu just grinned. As they were whisked away into the light, they found themselves in an open field. Setsu couldn't contain his excitement. He knew exactly where they were, but his joy was short-lived. A group of armored figures, clearly magic users, started marching towards them. The other students wet their pants, but Yuui, thinking she's the hero of the story, clung to Setsu, trying to shield him with her body. Setsu, however, remained unfazed. With a flick of his finger, he sent one of the attackers flying. Yuui, startled, let go, but Setsu grabbed her hand and dashed towards the others. Yuui felt a flood at their joined hands, but her attention quickly snapped to the approaching army, and she urgently pointed it out to Setsu. At that moment, the students halted their frantic rush, witnessing as the army zoomed past, locking horns with the armored foes they branded as demons. Hiding in the crowd, Setsu pondered why the never-ending fight with these so-called demons continued. Suddenly, a strange feeling washed over him, sparking doubts about whether magic and the demons were cursed somehow. He gripped his chest, lost in thought. Out of the blue, a hot knight with eye-catching blue hair thundered in on horseback, urging them to find safety, declaring the battlefield too risky. Beside her stood a confident blonde companion. Together with their fellow fighters, they charged into battle, swiftly defeating their foes with brave determination. After the intense clash, the students found themselves standing before the king, who warmly greeted them into the kingdom of Destinia. He revealed their newfound status as summoned champions tasked with defending the realm against demons, akin to heroes summoned 5 years prior. Asserting it was fate, the king's words left the students puzzled. Sensing their uncertainty, Blondie stepped forward to clarify that a hero from another world had once brought peace during a prior conflict. Despite their skepticism, she earnestly implored them to aid in rescuing the kingdom. The students couldn't shake the feeling that the Blondie mistook them for the Avengers. Despite their doubts, they reluctantly agreed, knowing that they get As they departed from the throne room, Setsu reassured Yuui with a promise to keep her safe. The very next day, the students kicked off their hero training. When they attempted to use magic, only Yuui succeeded in summoning fire. Setsu, watching from the sidelines, was impressed by their skills. However, he decided to explore the castle grounds. While exploring, Setsu bumped into the blue-haired girl he playfully called Aruka. She questioned his formal demeanor toward her despite her higher rank. Setsu tells her to piss off and he doesn't need formalities. Amused, Aruka likened his attitude to that of a hero she knew from 5 years ago but warned him to return to training. Unfazed, Setsu challenged her to do her best. Aruka accepted the challenge and grabbed her wooden training sword to attack. However, Setsu effortlessly dodged her attacks, causing her to stumble. With a mischievous grin, he playfully smacked her pillow, making her squirm with a flood. As she welcomed him back, Setsu tells her to bend over and she agrees. Sitting on her, Setsu teased her about noticing his weight loss, calling her a creep. Aruka expressed her pleasure in serving Setsu, which caught the attention of the blonde-haired knight, Grain. He questioned what Aruka was up to which she confidently stated that the person sitting on her was Setsu. Grain believed her, knowing Aruka wouldn't act that way towards anyone else. Excitedly, Grain and Aruka rushed to Tia's potion room to share the news of Setsu's return. However, Tia already sensed his magical presence in the room. Grain noticed Setsu's troubled expression and inquired about the issue. Setsu quickly hinted at the ongoing war against the demons, which Grain acknowledged. Aruka then suggested they find another place to discuss their questions. They strolled to the castle walls, where Aruka probed Setsu about his return. But before he could reply, Grain jumped in, asking why Setsu looked like a missing drummer, and why he vanished after battling Toma. Setsu shrugged, claiming he had no clue. However, as he spoke, memories of his showdown with Toma flooded back, right where they stood. Setsu spilled the beans. He'd been reborn in a whole new world, keeping all his memories and magical mojo. He admitted he was clueless about how he and his crew got summoned. Aruka mused it seemed too perfect they showed up just as the wars kicked off again. Curious about Toma's whereabouts, Setsu hinted he might be pulling the strings behind the war. They pondered if the demons were under some curse, and Setsu sensed it in their magic. He speculated Toma was the only one with the chops to pull it off. Aruka explained they'd hunted for Toma just like they had for Setsu but found zilch. Tia threw in her 2 cents, suggesting if Setsu was alive, Toma probably was too. Suddenly, a soldier sprinted over, urgently telling Grain he was needed by the king. Grain rushed off to the throne room. Inside, the king declared war on the demons, but Grain disagreed, saying they needed to wait for news from their emissary before jumping into anything. He stressed the importance of caution since they didn't know what was really going on. Blondie argued back, saying the demons attacked them first, and the appearance of new heroes meant they were on the side of justice. The king regretted listening to the heroes 5 years ago, which led to making peace with the demons. Later that evening, while Yuui practiced her magic, Setsu came over. He praised her magic skills and Yuui felt shy. But then she got serious, asking why they were training and why anyone would start a war. Setsu didn't answer, so Yuui promised to train harder to protect him. As night fell, Setsu and his crew regrouped on the castle wall. Grain shared that he managed to stall the war preparations by claiming the heroes needed more training. But the looming conflict couldn't be avoided. Setsu, determined to take action, declared he would personally stop the war. His friends offered to join, but Setsu insisted they stay behind to safeguard the kingdom in case Toma was involved. The next day, Setsu and his gang sneaked into the castle using an invisibility spell. However, they discovered the place was swarming with guards, which could foil their plans. Aruka volunteered to scout ahead, evoking memories of their past adventures. Just as Setsu was reminiscing, they heard Aruka knocking out a guard. They regrouped, and Aruka concealed the unconscious guard in a nearby box to avoid detection. Aruka managed to unlock the door, and as they entered, Setsu unsheathed his sword, Kuramaru. Suddenly, they heard guards approaching, signaling their cover was blown. The castle went into lockdown. Grain offered to create a distraction to aid Setsu's escape, and Tia offered her assistance. She advised Aruka to accompany Setsu to avoid attracting attention. Aruka protested, but Setsu jokingly insisted she'd have her moment to shine later on. Outside the castle gates, Aruka vowed to hold off any troublemakers until Setsu returned. Just then, Yuui dashed towards them, curious about Setsu's plans. Setsu explained that he was summoned to this world for the 2nd time and needed to meet an old friend to stop the war. Like in typical girlfriend, Yuui insisted on tagging along, but Setsu refused, saying she'd slow him down. Despite feeling rejected, Yuui understood and asked him to close his eyes. Expecting a kiss, Setsu blushed, but Yuui surprised him by using her magic to trim his hair. Impressed by her skills in both wind and fire magic, Setsu bid farewell to both girls as he embarked on his journey to save the kingdom. Yuui promised to get stronger to protect him. In another place, a young girl named Ruri watched as her grandpa got into a big argument with a guy over selling a fancy piece of jewelry. Ruri stepped in and asked if the guy was causing trouble. Her grandpa said yeah, he was, which shocked the guy. Ignoring the insult, the guy asked again about buying the jewelry. But her grandpa said no way, his offer was way too small. He even said even if the guy emptied out his bank account, it still wouldn't be enough. While they were talking, the guy dropped a bag of gold coins on the table, which immediately caught her grandpa's attention, and he sold the jewelry in a flash. After the guy left, Ruri asked her grandpa why he sold the jewelry after saying pride was super important. Her grandpa explained that, yeah, pride matters, but when it's about money, you gotta think like a rich crab because money rules everything. Years later, after laying her grandpa to grave, Ruri set off on a journey to deliver his final masterpiece to a client. Later, as she journeyed in her wagon towards her destination, Ruri encountered a monstrous pig with eerie glowing eyes. The pig flipped her wagon, sending her and her goods flying. In the chaos, Ruri scrambled to retrieve a fallen box from her bag, forgetting that Miss Pigson still had a craving for a snack or two. When she finally turned around, she found herself face to face with the menacing pig. Instead of fleeing in terror, Ruri foolishly attempted to reason with it, which, as one might expect, didn't go over well. Just as Mr. Pigson prepared to make her his next meal, Setsu intervened, swiftly dispatching the creature. Concerned for her safety, Setsu asked if she was alright. Rather than expressing gratitude, Ruri immediately questioned if he expected payment for saving her life, confessing she had no money, but promising to compensate him once she delivered her goods. Setsu, not keen on being labeled a freelance hero, initially declined her offer. However, Ruri, influenced by her grandfather's teachings about repaying debts with money, persuaded Setsu Setsu otherwise. Offering his hand to help her up, Setsu remarked disparagingly about her grandfather. Caught off guard by his observation, Ruri remembered a past altercation with a similar customer. Setsu, noticing her distant stare, inquired if everything was all right. Assured by Ruri's response, he questioned why she was traveling without a guard. She confessed her haste in not hiring one due to time constraints. As Setsu prepared to leave, Ruri called him back, pleading for his assistance as her bodyguard. Despite his initial reluctance, Setsu relented, moved by her plight, and agreed to escort her to the nearest town. In the bustling port town, Ruri revealed her grand plan to board a ship bound for the demonic continent. But when they reached the ship, the captain dropped a bombshell. They weren't sailing there because of the nasty war brewing. Not one to throw in the towel, Ruri bounced from ship to ship, begging each owner to give her a ride. But luck wasn't on her side, and each time she got a big fat meat. No. Frustrated by her futile attempts, Setsu decided to step in. But just as he was about to make his move, he noticed Ruri getting grilled by some military big shots. These knights, they called themselves, were on a mission to inspect folks, starting with Ruri. They demanded her papers, and when they spotted her bag, they wanted a nosy peek inside. But Ruri wasn't having any of it. She clutched that bag like it held the world's secrets, refusing to let them snoop around. Things got heated real quick. Setsu wasn't about to let these knights push Ruri around. He slapped their hands away, demanding they show some manners. The knights didn't like being challenged, but Setsu wasn't backing down. The showdown drew a crowd, with folks cheering for Setsu and Ruri. The knights realized they were on the wrong side of the crowd's favor and skedaddled, but not before tossing a parting threat Setsu's way. With the drama over, Ruri couldn't hold back her gratitude. She rushed to thank Setsu, giving him a big hug and maybe even a tear or two. As the night rolled in and they chowed down, Setsu got curious about Ruri's next move since her ship hunt turned up empty. Ruri spilled the beans, saying she might just splurge and buy a whole ship if things kept going south. But Setsu quickly shut that down, reminding her she was as broke as a church mouse. Seeing Ruri's spirits plummet, Setsu had a change of heart. He offered to let her tag along since they were both headed the same way. Ruri's eyes sparkled with excitement, but before she could ask about the cost, Setsu laid down the law. She had to crash at an inn for the night. Ruri tried to argue, but Setsu wasn't budging. He was firm, no exceptions. Eventually, Ruri gave in, agreeing to his terms as long as they split the bill. Later that night, as Ruri hit the bath, she passed Setsu her precious package, asking him to keep it safe. Setsu hesitated, wondering if she was sure. Ruri insisted she was. As she opened the box, she revealed a dazzling jewel, one Setsu recognized. She explained it was her grandpa's final masterpiece, crafted by a legendary jeweler. Despite being sick, her grandpa had put his all into fixing it for someone special, entrusting it to Ruri. As Setsu took it, Ruri warned him not to try anything funny with her cash. Alone in the room, Setsu couldn't resist peeking inside the box, his fingers grazing the gem, which glowed as if remembering the magic he'd infused into it long ago. As they snoozed away that night, the knights busted into the inn, accusing Setsu and Ruri of being sneaky spies for the Demon Kingdom. But quick as a fox, Setsu sensed their arrival and vanished before they could nab him. They dashed out the window, leaving the knights scratching their heads. And so began the chase. Through the winding streets they sprinted, until they found themselves trapped at the sea's edge. Feeling trapped, Ruri cracked a joke about Setsu pulling a Moses and parting the sea. But as the knights closed in, Setsu wasn't about to back down. He dared them to come and catch him, adding a sprinkle of sass for good measure. Puzzled by Setsu's boldness, Ruri clung to him as he scooped her up again. With a daring leap, they plunged off the wall and toward the water below. But just before they hit the waves, a magnificent sea dragon soared up, catching them in its mighty claws. Setsu greeted the dragon like an old friend, apologizing for the late night summons, but promising to spill the beans later. With a thunderous roar, the dragon, named Levia, whisked them away towards the demonic continent, leaving the dumbfounded knights in their wake. As they sailed through the night, Ruri's mind raced. She couldn't believe her luck. Levia, the god of the sea, was carrying them to safety. But she couldn't shake the question lingering in her mind. How the Setsu have no Leviathan? Before they knew it, they spotted the shore of the demonic continent on the horizon. But when they landed, Setsu was pumped while Ruri was a bundle of nerves as they witnessed Levia duking it out with a massive squid. Setsu was like a hype man at a monster battle, cheering Levia on with gusto. When Ruri asked for help, he just laughed off the squid's ink, showering Levia. Once the brawl was over, Levia switched to her human form, and Setsu introduced her to Ruri. Levia wasted no time in reminding Ruri how special she was, leaving Setsu to explain why he didn't jump in to help. He just wanted a ringside seat to the kaiju showdown. Levia was not impressed, giving Setsu a piece of her mind. She accused him of having nerves of steel for ditching her for 5 years, only to show up out of the blue, hitch a ride, and leave her to fend off a stupid squid. Before Setsu could say anything, Ruri redirected the conversation, asking what they should do with the defeated squid. Levia left it up to Setsu, who decided to whip up some crispy calamari using the leftovers. As they chowed down, Levia pointed to the mountains, revealing Demon Lord's location. Setsu dropped a bombshell on Ruri, saying he had stuff to do with the person she was supposed to deliver the package to. Levia jumped in, saying she remembered Desastre's chat about sending her bro to get fixed, leaving Ruri totally shocked. She couldn't believe Levia knew Desastre. Then Levia hit her with the news that Desastre was none other than the Demon Lord herself, which turned Ruri as white as a ghost. Levia was ready to hit the road, but Setsu invited her to join them. He wanted to catch up with Desastre together, but Levia wasn't buying it. She called Setsu out for being ungrateful, just seeing her as a hoe and bringing another woman along while expecting her to put up with it. As Setsu tried to defend himself, he got a tap on the shoulder. Turning around, he found himself face to face with 3 cheeky demon kids. One asked if they were having a lover's spat, another said Setsu should apologize first as a man, and the last one bluntly called him clueless about women's feelings. Fed up with the lecture, Setsu shut them up by stuffing their mouths with squid rings. The kids loved it, begging him for more for their folks. Levia suggested they had plenty of squid left, so Setsu agreed to whip up a batch for everyone. With the kids chanting squid rings excitedly, they all trotted off to the village, eager for the tasty treat. In the village, folks were bummed they couldn't fish thanks to those pesky squids. And to add insult to injury, the human traders stopped showing up because of the ongoing war. With food supplies dwindling, someone suggested taking on the squids themselves. But then, Setsu had a light bulb moment. He offered to leave behind his squid leftovers for a feast. The villagers were gobsmacked but grateful for the unexpected treat. To thank Levia, they threw an epic bash, treating her like royalty with top-notch eats and drinks. As Setsu worked his culinary magic, Levia couldn't resist teasing him, calling him a culinary wizard. With style, Setsu sliced and diced the squid like a boss. Meanwhile, Vlad, the Demon Lord's top guard, spotted the village lights and thought they were under attack. Armed and ready, he dashed to the village. Down below, Levia found Ruri acting a bit tipsy, but Ruri quickly assured her it was just juice. They ended up having a chat, and Ruri couldn't resist asking how Levia knew Setsu. Levia spilled the beans, revealing their unexpected encounters during the war. As Ruri processed this revelation, she started freaking out, wondering why Setsu had agreed to be her guard. Levia explained that Setsu was usually modest, hinting that he might have a soft spot for younger gals. Ruri then connected the dots, realizing that Levia's presence had kept the sea peaceful. Watching Setsu sell the squid, Ruri couldn't help but notice the way Levia looked at him. She concluded that Levia was head over heels for Setsu, but Levia denied it, insisting that gods wouldn't fall for mortals. She joked that Ruri hadn't been keeping up with the divine gossip. Out of nowhere, Vlad dramatically crashed through the stage wall, startling everyone as he demanded to know if they were all okay. However, he quickly realized he had been overly dramatic. Later, while Levia enjoyed a feast of fish with a snoozing Ruri in her lap, Vlad sheepishly approached and apologized for his earlier outburst. Joining their company, he attempted to explain his behavior. As Setsu joined the gathering, Vlad's tone changed abruptly. He dropped a bombshell, urging them to rescue the Demon Lord. This unexpected revelation caught everyone off guard. Vlad spilled the beans about Desastre's impending marriage to a man named Taran, who aimed to seize control of the kingdom with a cursed necklace rather than a ring. Setsu, intrigued, questioned the strength of such a curse against Desastre. Vlad then disclosed the recent outbreak of war triggered by human aggression. Setsu's shock was evident upon hearing about the coastal village raid, where soldiers in imposing armor had left their flag behind. As they journeyed on, Vlad spilled the beans about how the Demon Lord had sent messengers to the human realm, but they hadn't returned yet. This gave Taran, a super wealthy dude, the chance to suggest a way to end the war. Setsu was like, wait, can this guy really stop the war with his cash? And Vlad was all, yep, he's loaded. Setsu was still scratching his head, so Ruri chimed in, saying Taran was basically the richest guy ever and ran a massive trading company. Vlad added that because of his riches, Taran thought he could end the war. Setsu was like, hold up, is Daisy really gonna sell herself out to stop the war? Vlad confirmed it, and Setsu was like, whoa, are the other leaders cool with that? But before they could dive into it, Levia butted in, saying Desastre's weird behavior was because she made a promise to Setsu to keep the peace. Fired up, Levia was like, "We gotta save her." So, Setsu and Levia dashed towards Desas's castle, only to be swarmed by monsters. As they fought off the monsters, they remembered Vlad's warning about Taran's tough guards in the monster-infested roads. Vlad was like, "Save your magic, Setsu." So, Levia was like, "I got this monster-busting duty covered." Setsu decided to take the quickest route to the castle, teasing Levia about her fish legs. But Levia was all, "Don't underestimate me." After wiping out the monsters, Levia asked what the game plan was. Setsu's idea was plain and simple: crash the ridiculous wedding and give Taran a taste of his own medicine. Levia then questioned how they could put an end to the war without the involvement of the wealthy man. Setsu suspected Taran was pulling the strings, playing both sides against each other. He recalled an incident where Destinia was attacked, convinced there was a puppet master orchestrating it all. Despite the blame game, a mysterious figure with a cursed necklace emerged, pitching peace. Levia pondered if Taran was the brains behind it all, but Setsu doubted it, believing Taran was in cahoots with the real mastermind. Their conversation was abruptly halted by more monsters, swiftly dealt with by Levia. As they continued their journey to the Demon Lord's castle, Levia reflected on how her life had taken a wild turn since meeting Setsu 5 years ago. Initially adversaries, Desastre faced off against Setsu but ended up forging an unexpected friendship. Months later, Vlad delivered the shocking news of Setsu's disappearance, leaving Destinia in the dark. Standing by the window, Desastre vowed to uphold peace between humans and demons. Turning to Vlad, she entrusted him with ensuring the peace treaty remained intact, a promise he solemnly swore to keep. Just a mere lunar cycle before Setsu's grand entrance into their lives, Desastre embarked on a leisurely jaunt through the bustling streets of her city, Vlad as her faithful companion by her side. Their conversation meandered through memories of the elegant bridge Setsu had bestowed upon her, a testament to their enduring bond. But alas, in a twist of fate, the very bridge that stood as a monument to their friendship crumbled beneath their feet, leaving them stunned. Ever the quick thinker, Vlad proposed seeking the expertise of the renowned jeweler, Destinia, to mend the shattered remnants of their beloved bridge and restore its former splendor. Days later, under the cloak of a tempestuous night sky, a messenger burst into Desastre's chambers, bearing urgent news of the Destinia army's sudden incursion into their territory, igniting chaos and fear within the city walls. Vlad's skepticism flared as he questioned the integrity of the once trusted peace treaty, while Desastre, with her characteristic poise, urged caution, sensing that there was more to the invasion than met the eye. With a decisive flick of her wrist, she dispatched her loyal demons into the night to unravel the enigma shrouding their besieged city. Meanwhile, within the opulent confines of her castle, Taran, with his grandiloquent charm, sought an audience with Desastre. He proffered a bold proposition to wield the formidable power of his trading company in a bid to quell the raging conflict. But beneath his veneer of magnanimity lay a weighty demand. He coveted Desastre's hand in marriage. With a flourish, he unveiled a necklace pulsating with dark allure, a tangible symbol of their proposed union. The seasoned eyes of Desastre's generals recognized the curse woven into the very fabric of the necklace, prompting Vlad to interject with impassioned fervor, vehemently opposing Taran's audacious proposal. Yet amidst the tumultuous exchange, Desastre remained an inscrutable enigma, her thoughts veiled behind a facade of contemplation. With the sands of time slipping through her fingers like grains of sand, she bid Taran adieu, his ominous reminder of impending urgency echoing through the hallowed halls of her mind. After pondering her choices in her cozy office, Desastre's buddy Vlad stormed in, all pumped up, reminding her of the badass army she had at her disposal. But Desastre, wrestling with Taran's offer, couldn't just shrug it off. That very night, in the swanky ride of Taran, he spilled the beans to a mysterious figure about how easy it was to play Desastre, praising their sneaky plan through his company as pure genius. With the demonic kingdom under their thumb, there was no need to drag out the conflict. But when Taran suggested pulling back their magical soldiers, the hooded figure shut that down, citing the big boss's orders. Then came the big day. Desastre and Taran were all set to exchange mushy vows. Taran whipped out the cursed necklace, symbolizing their unity, and his grand dreams of global peace using his company and the demonic kingdom's muscle. But Desastre hesitated, her mind in a whirl. Just when things got sticky, a vision of Setsu popped into Desastre's head, a glimmer of hope in the chaos. Out of nowhere, like a superhero crashing through a wall, Setsu burst into the scene, causing a ruckus among the crowd. With a bold declaration of loyalty, Setsu positioned himself as Desastre's knight in shining armor, sending everyone scattering. As he stood before her, bold and brave, Desastre knew her hero had arrived to save the day. In a nerve-wracking showdown, Taran, the cowardly one, demanded answers from Setsu, who shot him a chilling glare. Taran, trembling, called his guards to attack, but they were swiftly taken down by Levia's water magic. With a sassy comment about Desastre's fashion choice, Levia squared up against Taran, who promptly chickened out and ran off. Meanwhile, a shadowy figure with lightning speed struck at Levia with a move called Shadow Stab. Levia tried dodging, but the sneaky attacker held her in place, taunting her about her aquatic skills. Just as things seemed dire, Setsu swooped in, slashing through the shadows and sending the attacker flying. The attacker, now aware of Setsu's presence, attempted to retaliate, but Setsu effortlessly dodged and countered every move, leaving the attacker cornered. As Setsu questioned the attacker's motives, he cryptically mentioned reporting to his boss before making a dramatic escape through the chapel wall. Amidst the bubbling excitement, Desastre couldn't contain herself as she rushed to hug Setsu, thrilled to see him again after what felt like ages. With a sparkle in her eye, she wondered why Setsu had taken off without her, but he brushed it off, teasing that it was a story for another time. Their cozy reunion was rudely interrupted by Levia, who pointed out the disappearing guards she had just defeated. Setsu quickly deduced that these guards were more than meets the eye. They were magically conjured soldiers. His suspicions were confirmed when he laid eyes on the necklace brought by Taran, suspecting the mischievous Tomo's handiwork. In a swift move, Setsu shattered the necklace, affirming Desastre's hunch and pledging to stand by her side. He proposed that she take charge in her realm while he ventured to consult the beastman King Regulus for more intel on Tomo's schemes. As the group pondered their next move, Levia voiced her reluctance to leave immediately, still weary from the day's battles. Just then, the dynamic duo of Ruri and Vlad burst onto the scene. Vlad grumbled about the castle's state, but Ruri, ever the messenger, handed Setsu a package, urging him to present its contents to Desastre. With a ceremonious flourish, Setsu adorned Desastre with a badge from the package, taking her ownership. As the demons tidied up the chaos from the fight, Desastre expressed her longing to go with Setsu but felt she couldn't leave her kingdom alone. Setsu assured her that once things settled down, he'd take her anywhere she wanted. But Vlad, feeling jealous, chimed in, saying rulers shouldn't just jet off, leaving their kingdom behind. Levia, always direct, told Vlad to chill and let Desastre handle her business. Suddenly, Ruri piped up with exciting news. Desastre had given her the green light to open a shop in the demonic kingdom. Setsu, being considerate as ever, double-checked with Desastre to make sure she was cool with it. Desastre, appreciative of Ruri's loyalty, gave her the thumbs up. Vlad, grateful for Setsu's help, promised to have his back whenever needed. Setsu thanked him before heading out with Levia, but Desastre couldn't let him go without a word, reminding him to come back in one piece. In the blazing hot summer days, Setsu brushed off Yuui's invite to hang out, blaming the scorching sun for his hesitance. But as time ticked on, their friendship bubbled up like a boiling pot of excitement. One day, while wandering the neighborhood streets, they stumbled upon a flashy sign advertising a fancy study place. Intrigued, Yuui turned to Setsu with eyes full of wonder, wondering if joining that place would spice up their journey to their dream high school. Setsu, lost in his thoughts, didn't reply immediately, so Yuui nudged him, reminding him of dinner. Back home, Yuui brought up the study place again, eager to stir up some conversation. Setsu, known for his straightforwardness, suggested she forget about it, saying it wouldn't add much flavor to their plans. His honesty stung, leaving Yuui feeling like she'd bitten into a sour lemon as she stormed off in a huff. Yet, she found the courage to sign up for the study place, determined to prove Setsu wrong. However, her hopes took a dip when her practice test scores didn't turn out as expected. Heading home, feeling as flat as a pancake, Yuui got stopped by some shady characters who tried to lure her away from her studies with promises of fun. Just as doubts started to simmer, Setsu showed up like a superhero, shutting down their offer and telling them to find a better hobby. After this unexpected rescue, Yuui found herself drawn to Setsu, curious about his timely arrival. When she asked why he showed up, Setsu gave a mysterious answer, leaving Yuui intrigued. Despite Setsu's earlier doubts about her dreams, Yuui stayed determined to pursue them, fueled by a newfound passion. Touched by her determination, Setsu offered his support, promising to stand by her side through thick and thin. In the here and now, the students were busy practicing their combat magic skills under Aruka's watchful eye. It was evident that Yuui was shining, impressing everyone with her prowess. As expected, Aruka showered her with praise and encouragement, boosting her confidence after the session. While the others headed off to their rooms, Yuui took a bold step and approached Aruka and Grain, asking for some extra training later that night. Aruka agreed, and under the moonlit sky, she whisked Yuui away to the highest point of the castle walls. From there, they gazed out at the city below, bathed in the soft glow of evening. Aruka took the opportunity to explain to Yuui the significance of Setsu's efforts in maintaining peace in their world. She emphasized the importance of staying vigilant and ready to support Setsu whenever he needed them. Yuui, brimming with determination to stand by Setsu's side, confessed her insecurities about her own strength, feeling inadequate compared to him. In response, Aruka suggested a sparring match to put Yuui's skills to the test. With staffs in hand, they engaged in a friendly but intense duel, each trying to outmaneuver the other. After a spirited exchange, Aruka acknowledged Yuui's strength but also pointed out an area where she could improve. Aruka decided to take Yuui to an eerie sewer filled with monsters, often used as a tough training ground for soldiers. As they paused, a massive crocodile-like creature emerged from the murky waters, catching Yuui off guard. Aruka snapped her out of her fear, reminding her it wasn't the time to act weak. With a mix of courage and trepidation, Yuui approached the creature as Aruka encouraged her to tap into her inner strength. Yuui unleashed a blazing fireball from her staff, engulfing the monster in flames. But just when she thought it was over, the creature rose up, ready to strike. Reacting swiftly, Yuui jammed her staff into its mouth, narrowly avoiding an attack but getting a scratch on her arm in the process. Aruka urged her to seize the moment and unleash another fireball, sending the creature staggering backward. However, it still remained standing, prompting Aruka to deliver a harsh reality check. In times of war, one must be willing to do what it takes to survive, even if it means taking down the enemy. This revelation stirred up memories for Yuui, particularly of a past battle, causing her to wrestle with her emotions. As she struggled, Aruka stepped in, unleashing a blast of ice magic that swiftly ended the creature's threat. With the trial completed, they leave. Later on, Tia swung by to check on Yuui's condition. After patching up her wound, Tia criticized Aruka's decision to thrust Yuui into a real battle without warning. However, Yuui came to Aruka's defense, claiming she had actually asked for it. Tia then shed some light on Aruka's tough love approach, explaining that she treated Yuui that way because she saw her as an equal. Intrigued by Yuui's unwavering loyalty to Setsu, Tia questioned why she was willing to put herself in harm's way. Yuui spilled the tea, revealing that Setsu had been her support system throughout her life, and she felt compelled to repay his kindness by becoming someone he could count on. With warm wishes, Tia left Yuui's room, reassuring Aruka about Yuui's resilience. Meanwhile, Aruka, lurking nearby, couldn't help but worry about the dangers Yuui might face if she continued fighting alongside them. Later that evening, Grain stumbled upon Yuui, deep in thought. As they chatted, he assured her that feeling hesitant about taking a life was totally normal. Intrigued by Grain's wisdom, Yuui probed further, asking how he found the resolve to fight. Grain spilled the beans, confessing that he preferred dealing pain to his enemies rather than watching his loved ones suffer. He encouraged Yuui to find her own path to courage. In their next training session, Yuui's fire magic blazed brighter than ever, leaving everyone amazed as it blasted a hole in the ground. Later that night, Yuui took Aruka back to the sewer, determined to prove her grit. When the monster emerged, Yuui unleashed a massive fireball, swiftly knocking it out. Though impressed, Aruka was reminded by Yuui that she wasn't out to take lives, only to protect others. Aruka admired Yuui's determination, seeing shades of Setsu in her resolve. However, she cautioned that achieving her goals would require immense power. Undeterred, Yuui vowed to grow stronger to shield her loved ones. Days later, Grain gathered the students and dropped a bombshell. They were heading to the demonic continent soon. He urged them to gear up physically and mentally for the upcoming challenges before sending them off. As the others left, Yuui hung back, joining Setsu's crew at the top of the stairs, ready to tackle whatever came their way. As Setsu and Levia rode along the demonic continent, they found themselves on a wagon ride that was as bumpy as a roller coaster. Setsu, curious as a cat, asked Levia why she was as calm as a cucumber while munching on cookies like there was no tomorrow. Levia, the goddess of relaxation, explained that they had all the time in the world until they reached the beastman continent. She brushed off Setsu's concerns about boat duty, reminding him that the war had put a damper on boat travel. Setsu, ever the problem solver, suggested using teleportation magic to speed things up, but Levia shot that idea down faster than a speeding bullet, warning of the tremendous energy it required. With a glint in her eye, she hinted that proper compensation, in the form of cookies, might sweeten the deal. Their chit-chat was interrupted when the wagon came to a screeching halt, and two unexpected guests hopped aboard. Setsu recognized one of them as Elies, whom he affectionately called Crybaby. As they continued their journey, Setsu spilled the beans about their past adventures together. Elies claimed to be Setsu's star pupil, although he denied it with a smirk. She revealed that Setsu had trained her every night, leaving Levia to wonder about their midnight rendezvous. Before Setsu could dish out any details, the younger newcomer, Amer, piped up, announcing herself as Elies' little sister. Elies grilled Setsu about his whereabouts for the past half-decade, prompting Setsu to spill the beans about his escapades. He extended an invitation for Elies to join their crew once more, but she turned him down faster than a speeding bullet, citing an unresolved issue. Amer spilled the tea, revealing that Elies had been slaying monsters left and right as part of her training. Elies recounted a tale of encountering Amer in a village while on a quest to vanquish a dragon. Amer revealed that she considered a man she called her brother as her kin, and had been searching for him ever since the dragon's appearance left her feeling as alone as a lost puppy. Touched by Elies' story, Setsu offered his support, and Elies opened up about her plans to settle in the village once the dragon was dealt with. Amer, as bubbly as a shaken soda can, eagerly offered to house her sister, sealing their bond tighter than a lid on a pickle jar. As they continued their journey, Setsu couldn't help but feel like life was a roller coaster ride with unexpected twists and turns at every corner. But with Elies and Amer by their side, they were ready to face whatever challenges the road ahead threw their way. In the here and now, Setsu wondered if the dragon had harmed Amer's brother, but Elies assured him that wasn't the case. She detailed how whenever the dragon attacked, villagers vanished mysteriously, leaving behind no evidence of a struggle. Thinking it was a routine dragon raid, Elies boldly disabled the village defenses to confront it. But each time, the dragon disappeared without a trace, leaving her puzzled. Returning to the village, she found it deserted, except for Amer, whom she decided to take along. This decision led them to meet Setsu and Levia. Elies asked Setsu if he had encountered similar situations before, to which he replied that he hadn't faced a kidnapping dragon previously, but was eager to assist. Levia's eagerness earned her gratitude from Elies, who jokingly referred to her as Mrs. Setsu, much to Levia's amusement. Levia, known for her imaginative theories, proposed wild ideas about the villagers turning into zombies. Setsu playfully countered, suggesting they might be air zombies since the village was deserted. Undeterred, Levia attributed her ideas to her salty brain. When Setsu asked her to explain the dragon's involvement, she suggested it might also be a zombie, earning a gentle tap on the head from Setsu, who teased her about draining her seawater brain. Levia then floated the idea of a siren's involvement, despite the village being on a mountain. She amusingly suggested the siren might be a food-loving resident, sparking laughter from the group. Amer chimed in, noting the strange spell sea creatures cast upon her, leading to a humorous discussion about fishy scents. Setsu shifted the conversation by introducing the notion of aliens, sparking curiosity among the group. Levia promptly dismissed the idea, leading to a playful exchange. She questioned why the dragon didn't use magic to make Elies disappear, prompting Setsu to engage in a whimsical explanation about moon-dwelling aliens. As their journey hit a snag due to turbulent waters, their wagon grinded to a halt, forcing them to wait until the currents calmed. Levia seized the moment to inquire about Elies' plans upon reaching the city. Elies disclosed her intent to return to the village in pursuit of further clues. This led Setsu to question the dragon's relentless assaults. Levia speculated that the dragon might have been drawn by magic, explaining how concentrated magical energy could attract monstrous beings. Setsu then probed the possibility of teleportation magic being involved in the villagers' disappearance, proposing that the dragon's appearances coincided with their vanishing acts, leaving behind no traces of struggle. Elies suggested that tracking down the magic user responsible might be their only recourse. Setsu advised her to confront the user directly, noting that mastering transfer magic required years of practice. Given that Amer wasn't present in the village 2 years prior, it seemed unlikely that she had honed such skills. Amer vehemently claimed innocence, with Elies rallying to her defense, arguing that Amer was also a victim. Setsu, however, pointed out Elies' earlier observation about sea monsters' unique scent, hinting at Amer's true identity. Suddenly, Amer underwent a startling transformation, morphing into a fearsome dragon and launching an attack. Setsu and Levia sprang into action, engaging in a fierce battle with the enraged creature. Meanwhile, Elies grappled with her own feelings of inadequacy, struggling to reconcile her failure to resolve the situation despite being touted as Setsu's top student. Setsu urged her to shake off her doubts and prove her worth. With renewed determination, Elies charged at the dragon, bolstered by Setsu's unwavering support. In a coordinated effort, Setsu and Levia combined their strengths to fend off the dragon's relentless assaults. Levia infused Setsu's sword with water, enhancing its cutting power, allowing Elies to deliver a decisive blow. As Elies struck the final blow, the dragon dissipated into ethereal orbs of light, vanishing without a trace. As Levia and Setsu cruised toward the beastman continent aboard their vessel, Levia expressed some fret about Elies' welfare. Setsu, however, exuded confidence in Elies' capability to handle herself now that the dragon threat had been nullified. Meanwhile, back at the village, Elies ventured into Amer's abode, stumbling upon a startling revelation. Within the confines of Amer's dwelling, Elies came face to face with her, flanked by an entourage of monstrous creatures. To Elies' astonishment, Amer confessed to an audacious act. She had transformed the villagers into enchanted puppets, intending to bolster their ranks for an imminent conflict. Amer then disclosed her true identity as Melo, the mastermind behind the monster hordes. Days later, within the bustling town of Leaport on the Beastman continent, a spirited beast girl known as Shireniko traversed the vibrant streets. Along her journey, benevolent villagers halted her progress, proffering provisions as tokens of gratitude for her invaluable assistance in maintaining the supply lines. Despite Shireniko's attempts to decline their offerings, the villagers persisted, underscoring the importance of her role in safeguarding her sister's well-being. Upon reaching her homestead, Shireniko encountered her sister Mineko, who, though awake, appeared unwell. Fearing for her sister's health, Shireniko swiftly administered a dose of medicine, determined to alleviate her suffering. Mineko, overcome with remorse for her condition, found solace in Shireniko's unwavering support and vowed to seek a remedy for her ailment. As Setsu and Levia faced the boatman's wrath, their dreams of sailing away took a nosedive. Setsu's cheeky retorts only added fuel to the fire, leaving Levia to reign in her magical prowess, her temper simmering like a cauldron about to boil over. Yet, amidst the turmoil, Setsu's heartfelt apology emerged as a salve, quelling the storm and earning them a shot at redemption. With tensions diffused, Setsu proposed a detour for grub and shelter, his words painting a vivid picture of camaraderie and adventure. Meanwhile, in the bustling streets of the town, Shireniko embarked on her own clandestine mission, slipping through the crowds like a shadow in the night. Armed with determination, she sought solace in her sister's gentle embrace. But fate had other plans for Shireniko. As she navigated the labyrinthine alleys, a serendipitous encounter altered her course. A flyer, bearing Setsu's mysterious visage, fluttered into her grasp like a missive from destiny. Intrigued yet wary, Shireniko mulled over the offer's implications. As Setsu and Levia unwittingly sauntered into the shop, Shireniko's pulse quickened with anticipation. Concealed in the shadows, she observed them intently, sensing an aura of enigma enveloping the duo. Later that evening, while sharing a meal with her sister, Shireniko revealed that she had one final task to complete before calling it a night. Meanwhile, Setsu and Levia were sound asleep, unaware of the impending chaos. As the innkeeper granted Shireniko entry, she stealthily slipped into Setsu's room. However, her attempted strike was thwarted by Setsu's illusion spell, revealing his true presence behind her. With a swift kick, Shireniko found herself flying out the window, landing with a thud. Questioned by Setsu about her allegiance to Toma, Shireniko denied any knowledge, insisting she only knew she had to end his life. Undeterred, she unleashed a fiery attack, only to be met with Setsu's deft swordplay. Knocked unconscious, she emitted an eerie glow, prompting Levia's suspicions of cursed magic. Upon awakening, Shireniko found herself back home, accompanied by Setsu and Levia. Eager to retaliate, she was restrained by her sister, who spun a tale of her rescue by Setsu. Despite her doubts, Shireniko complied, urged by Setsu's silent signal to play along. Setsu's attention turned to Mineko, recognizing the dark aura emanating from her necklace as a potent curse. With solemn determination, he unleashed a light spell, revealing the curse's sinister presence. As Levia raised concerns about Toma, Setsu remained focused on saving Mineko. Begging Setsu to cure her sister, Shireniko offered her unwavering loyalty. Setsu reassured her of Mineko's safety, then directed his magic towards the cursed necklace. Summoning his enchanted blade, Gluttony, Setsu commanded it to consume the curse, bringing hope to the troubled sisters. As Gluttony worked its enchantments, the innkeeper hurled a blade at Setsu, but Shireniko, displaying remarkable bravery, stepped in the path of danger, taking the hit herself. Undeterred by the threat, the innkeeper then made a bold move to snatch Setsu away, but Levia, ever the water sorceress, swiftly intervened, drenching the situation with her watery prowess. With tensions escalating, Setsu acknowledged Levia's formidable strength, but she, in turn, reminded him not to overlook her own capabilities. Engaging in a showdown, Levia confronted the innkeeper head-on, who unleashed shadowy doppelgangers in an attempt to outmaneuver her. But Levia, with her mastery over the sea's elements, easily washed away the illusions before landing a decisive strike. Seeking answers amidst the chaos, Levia pressed the innkeeper about Toma's cryptic agenda, offering clemency in exchange for vital information. Unmoved by the offer, the innkeeper scoffed at the idea of begging for her life, her demeanor dripping with disdain. Unfazed by the insults, Shire dared to question the innkeeper's chosen path, prompting a scornful dismissal of her competence. Refusing to tolerate further insults, Levia silenced the innkeeper's venomous retorts with a wave of her hand. However, the innkeeper, with a hint of malice in her eyes, revealed Toma's grandiose scheme to ascend to godhood and eradicate all life forms. While Levia waved off the notion as implausible, the innkeeper remained steadfast in her belief in Toma's boundless ambitions. In a sudden turn of events, a dazzling light enveloped the innkeeper as she shattered a mysterious jewel, vanishing into thin air without leaving a trace. Shire stood by the riverbank, tears streaming down her face as she gazed at the void left by the innkeeper's disappearance. Rushing to her side, Mineko embraced her sister tightly, their tears blending in a poignant moment of shared sorrow. Meanwhile, Setsu examined Mineko's necklace, recognizing it as the same one Taran intended to give to Desastre, igniting curiosity about their mysterious connection. On board a riverboat journey, Levia grumbled about fatigue, her complaints echoing amidst the tranquil waters. Amidst their conversation, Setsu spotted Shire and Mineko by the river, prompting him to request the boatman to halt. The sisters pleaded to join their expedition, offering their aid in battle. Turning to Levia for approval, Setsu received a nod, granting Shire and Mineko passage to the beastman capital, Rum. In the heart of the capital, the king presided over a contentious meeting with his generals, their discord mirroring a squabble among elderly dames. As tensions flared, the king's attention was drawn to a peculiar sound, prompting his aide Rose to investigate. Outside the castle gates, Setsu attempted to persuade the guards of his acquaintance with the king, but his efforts were futile. Shire and Mineko joined the fray, their attempts to intervene proving fruitless. Just as Setsu contemplated his next move, a dramatic turn of events unfolded as Roa descended from the castle battlements, her arrival marked by a flurry of action. With a swift and unexpected maneuver, she subdued the guards, knocking them out cold. In a moment of reunion tinged with tension, Roa embraced Setsu, expressing her longing for him. However, her affection was quickly overshadowed by a clash of wills as Setsu swiftly countered her advances. Rejecting any notion of subservience, he made it clear that he would sooner befriend a pig than bow to her authority. As Setsu and Roa exchanged playful banter, Shire and Mineko pondered Roa's true identity, speculating if she was indeed the daughter of the Beast King. Sauntering beside Roa, Setsu explained his absence with a light touch, brushing off her advances with a smirk. Mineko couldn't resist teasing them, suggesting they find a more private spot for their flirtations, given the electric atmosphere. Suddenly, the door burst open, revealing a jubilant Regulus. He pounced at Setsu in excitement, only to be swiftly toppled by the seemingly unassuming human. Shire and Mineko watched wide-eyed, captivated by the unexpected spectacle. Inside the throne room, Setsu found the generals incapacitated, his urgency for discussion overshadowed by the king's plans for celebration. Undeterred, Setsu revealed the grave threat posed by Tomo's nefarious schemes to obliterate both demons and humans. Despite Regulus's eagerness to join Setsu, he was advised to remain behind and safeguard the Beastman continent. Roa, ever eager, offered to take her father's place, but Luger, the commander of the Dorado army, intervened, underscoring the imminent danger posed by both demons and humans. Regulus, torn between loyalty to Setsu and his kingly duties, faced scrutiny over his unwavering faith in Setsu, the hero once lost to time. Regulus, feeling slighted by Setsu's skepticism, vouched for Setsu's reliability. However, Luger argued that just because Setsu had returned didn't mean they could revert to the old ways. To resolve the issue, Regulus proposed an old-school solution, a traditional duel, as per Beastman tradition. He declared that the winner would not only claim victory but also win Roa's hand in marriage, much to Setsu's chagrin. Despite Setsu's protests, Luger insisted on the duel, setting the stage for a showdown the next day at noon. Later, Regulus apologized to Setsu for dragging him into the duel but emphasized its necessity to win over the stubborn beastmen. Still reeling from the betrayal, Setsu couldn't fathom being sacrificed for their approval. Regulus, however, assured him that victory would not only secure military aid but also earn Roa's affection as a bonus. Meanwhile, Roa sought out Luger, hoping to dissuade him from facing Setsu. However, Luger's pride as a beastman compelled him to stand his ground. He confided in Roa about his secret weapon, a magical rune tattoo that transformed his strong will into physical strength. Determined to protect Roa, Luger resolved to give his all in the upcoming duel, regardless of the odds stacked against him. In the arena, Setsu and Luger squared off, exchanging blows as the crowd watched with bated breath. Luger unleashed his signature move, the Flying Claw, but Setsu swiftly countered, sending it back with equal force. Frustrated by Setsu's taunts, Luger abandoned all pretense and unleashed his full beastly power, but even that was no match for Setsu's skill. Sensing Luger's growing rage, Setsu urged Regulus to end the match and allow him to take Roa away. However, Luger's wounded pride triggered his rune, unleashing a berserk fury that overwhelmed him. Ignoring Setsu's warnings, Roa rushed forward, determined to stand by her companion's side. As Luger's berserker rage escalated, Setsu and Levia intervened, but their efforts seemed futile as Luger's severed arm regrew before their eyes. With Roa's safety in mind, Setsu agreed to face Luger head-on, preparing to unleash his powerful sword, Gluttony. Suddenly, the arena was engulfed in a mysterious fog, and Luger's form dissolved, revealing an illusion of Toma, the mastermind behind it all. Toma, consumed by obsession, taunted Setsu with grandiose plans of world destruction, leaving only the two of them behind. However, Roa's interruption infuriated Toma, who lashed out at her, only to be thwarted by Setsu's protective instincts. In a chilling revelation, Toma warned Setsu of Destiny's impending invasion of the demonic continent, suggesting that time was running out. With a sinister grin, Toma vanished. After Toma vanished into thin air, leaving Luger's headless body sprawled on the ground, the skies opened up, drenching the throne room with rain. Regulus, feeling apologetic, extended his sympathies to Setsu, but Setsu brushed off the sentimentality, declaring it wasn't the time for mushy feelings. He announced his plan to head back to the demonic continent, ready to confront Toma head-on and put an end to his shenanigans. Regulus pledged to hook Setsu up with a ship for the journey and promised to send his crew to back him up. Meanwhile, Roa lingered in the arena, grappling with the gravity of their impending showdown. Setsu, concerned about her well-being, sauntered over, but Roa remained steadfast, emphasizing the importance of keeping their eyes on the prize amidst all the chaos. Flashing back to events from a decade back, Setsu recounted their unexpected summoning to the Kingdom of Destinia, where they were hailed as celestial saviors. But Setsu wasn't having any of it, rejecting the hero moniker and demanding respect for his independence. As Setsu and Toma continued their intense training sessions, Toma couldn't help but express his nerves about the upcoming battle. But Setsu, cool as a cucumber, reminded him of the harsh realities of their world, where magic, monsters, and demons lurked around every corner. Recognizing the unpredictability of their circumstances, Setsu urged Toma to buckle down and get serious about training, knowing that their survival depended on more than just sheer luck. Once upon a sunlit day, Setsu laid out his grand adventure plans to Toma, a quest to explore the vast unknowns of the world. Despite Toma's trembling knees, he pledged to summon his inner bravery and join Setsu on this epic journey. With heartfelt goodbyes exchanged, Setsu and his crew set off from the castle gates, ready to dive headfirst into whatever wild escapades awaited them. As time marched on, Toma's valor in battle earned him the esteemed title of the Silver Hero from the king, a badge of honor for his bravery and battlefield prowess. But amidst a daring raid on a temple, Toma found himself ensnared by a mysterious event. Bathed in a blinding brilliance, a beguiling voice whispered promises of boundless power. Spellbound and tempted, Toma snatched a strange necklace, only to awaken surrounded by the fallen bodies of his comrades, the eerie necklace dangling ominously around his neck. Lost in thought amidst the rain-soaked streets, Toma's reverie was shattered by the arrival of a knight bearing news of a peace treaty. However, his attention was drawn to a passing wagon carrying Setsu and his band of adventurers, sparking a longing for the camaraderie and excitement of their shared journey. After the peace treaty was signed, Toma sought out Setsu, acknowledging his pivotal role in bringing an end to the war. Modest and humble, Setsu deflected the praise, emphasizing the collective efforts of their comrades. Toma, eager to express the depth of their friendship, found himself momentarily distracted by Aruka's call to action. As Setsu prepared to depart, Toma seized the chance to persuade him to return home now that peace had been restored. However, Setsu remained steadfast in his quest for further exploration and adventure, leaving Toma puzzled and questioning their differing paths. As Setsu stood at the threshold, ready to confront Toma, his old friend dropped a bombshell. He aimed to tear down everything standing between them, no holds barred. Toma wasted no time, launching an assault that Setsu barely managed to deflect in the nick of time. Toma's laughter echoed with madness as he pressed on, relentless in his onslaught. The battle intensified, culminating in a spectacular explosion that sent shockwaves rippling through the air. By the time Setsu's crew arrived, both combatants had vanished into thin air, leaving behind only chaos and uncertainty. But Toma's story didn't end there. Against all odds, he found himself on death's doorstep, rescued by a mysterious jewel that revealed a hidden world of captivity and experimentation. With newfound determination, Toma led a daring escape, freeing others like him from their tormentors. Back in the present, Toma's return sent shockwaves through the crew. With chilling resolve, he declared his intention to reshape the world, fueled by a thirst for power and revenge. As the Destinia army sailed toward the demonic continent, hungry for action, they were all set for a showdown, following the orders straight from their king. When they hit the shoreline, it was all bells and whistles, humans versus demons, ready to rumble. The human troops charged ahead, smashing through the demon barriers and barging into their camp. They were led by the unstoppable Grain, who hit him from the sides, and Tia, the voice of reason, urging caution. Aruka piped up, advising her pals to bide their time and pounce when the moment was ripe. Despite their jitters, the newbies plunged headlong into the fray, egging each other on with their gutsy moves. In the midst of the madness, Yuui busted out his fiery magic to rescue a buddy, while another recruit stepped in to stop a brutal beatdown on a demon in distress. But just when things seemed to simmer down, all hell broke loose as magic-clad soldiers came raining down from the heavens, summoned by some mystical mojo. And who should be among them but Elies, acting like she's possessed by a poltergeist, unleashing chaos left, right, and center. After Grain incapacitated the soldiers, he noticed something peculiar: they were actually people. To their shock, they realized one of them was Elies, forced into battle against them by Meluar's control. Demanding answers, Aruka confronted Meluar about Elies' condition. Meluar confessed to transforming Elies into a doll due to her immense power, even offering to do the same to the rest of them. When Aruka tried to retaliate, Meluar used Elies to block her, leading to a clash between the two girls. Meluar, undeterred, used her own blood to summon monsters, which she sent after Tia and Grain. Aruka countered with her ice magic, while Grain and Tia fought back with their weapons and spells. Yuui also joined the fray, frustrating Meluar with their resilience. Despite Meluar's orders for Elies to attack, Grain bravely faced her and managed to knock her out. Meanwhile, Aruka launched an attack on Meluar, piercing her magic organ. However, to their surprise, Meluar survived, revealing her modified body with an extra magic organ. Using a powerful spell called Limit Break, Meluar summoned a fearsome three-headed Chamara, merging with it to launch a devastating assault. With quick reflexes, they managed to evade its fiery breath, thanks to Yuui's protective magic. As Tia's magic dwindled and the Chamara prepared for another attack, Elies unexpectedly turned against Meluar, fatally stabbing her. In a poignant moment, Elies embraced Meluar, reminiscing about their past friendship as Meluar's life slipped away. Grain updated Aruka on Elies' condition, mentioning that although her injuries were severe, the healing magic was making progress. Tia suggested they take a break to recharge. Suddenly, a shadowy arm emerged from the river, signaling the return of the man Setsu had fought at Desastre's wedding. Yuui had gone to find him, prompting her friends to try and stop her. However, Yuui was determined, arguing that Setsu would do the same for her. Deciding to support Yuui, despite Aruka's warning to be cautious, they prepared for a confrontation. But before the battle could commence, Setsu made a dramatic entrance, reassuring his friends that everything was under control. Yuui, overwhelmed with excitement, leaped onto Setsu. After the joyous reunion, Setsu apologized for his delay, but Yuui assured him it was okay. She then asked him to stay back with the others. As the shadowy figure revealed himself, Setsu prepared for battle, acknowledging the man's formidable presence. Asserting that he had passed the villain vibe check, Setsu braced himself. However, the man warned him that he had grown even stronger since their last encounter. With determination, Setsu drew his sword but hesitated when he glanced back at his friends, shielded by Yuui's protective magic. Questioned about his concern for his friends, Setsu declared that they were more than insignificant insects, They were his friends, and he would defend them at all costs. With resolve, Setsu prepared to face his adversary head-on. Amidst the chaos of battle, Kuroinu ruthlessly pummeled soldiers, showing no mercy. Shireniko attempted to reason with her, but Kuroinu dismissed her with scornful laughter. With a menacing declaration, Kuroinu vowed to shatter their sisterhood and unleash her fury upon them. Despite the odds, the girls bravely stood their ground against Kuroinu's onslaught. When Mineko was wounded, Shireniko seized the opportunity to strike back, landing a swift kick to Kuroinu's knees while Mineko delivered a powerful blow to her stomach. Just when it seemed like they had the upper hand, Kuroinu revealed her true strength by sprouting extra limbs. Mineko, resourceful as ever, grabbed a ketchup bottle and used it to fend off Kuroinu's deadly grasp. Undeterred, Kuroinu launched into a devastating limit break attack, taunting the girls about the curse of sisterhood. But Shireniko refused to yield, arguing that their bond was their strength. In a desperate bid to overpower them, Kuroinu grew more limbs, but the sisters countered with a dazzling display of teamwork, slicing off her arms one by one. Though Kuroinu refused to relent, her strength waned with each blow. Defeated and exhausted, Kuroinu collapsed to the ground, unwilling to accept defeat, as the sisters extended a hand of reconciliation, offering her a chance to join their sisterhood. Kuroinu succumbed to unconsciousness, recognizing that unity was the better path forward. In the heat of battle, a mysterious figure emerged from the shadows, clad in a cloak that concealed his identity. With a dramatic flair, he cast aside his cloak to reveal his imposing presence, introducing himself as Bildos, a formidable warrior with a striking resemblance to a character from the new comic kingdom. As the soldiers stood in stunned silence, Roa, undaunted by the unexpected adversary, leaped into action, delivering a powerful blow to Bildos' face. However, instead of recoiling from the impact, Bildos remained unfazed, showcasing his incredible resilience. In the midst of their clash, Bildos shared his origin story, detailing how Toma had transformed him into a formidable being. Enraged by Toma's nefarious intentions to bring about the world's destruction, Roa continued to press her attack, fueled by her determination to thwart his plans. But Bildos was not to be underestimated, unleashing his full power with a dramatic display, disintegrating his body into a barrage of iron pellets that bombarded Roa from all directions, leaving her battered and bruised. Despite the odds stacked against her, Roa rose from the ashes, her spirit unbroken as she launched a relentless assault on Bildos. With each strike, she chipped away at his defenses, refusing to back down even as she suffered injuries of her own. In a surprising turn of events, Bildos extended a gesture of mercy, using his powers to heal Roa's wounds. As Roa questioned his loyalty to Toma, Bildos offered cryptic explanations, leaving her to ponder his motives and his peculiar fondness for hot guys. In the midst of their fierce showdown, Setsu and his shadowy foe clashed relentlessly, with the shadow guy using sneaky moves to try and knock Setsu off his game. But Setsu wasn't having any of it. He blocked every attack and even managed to shove the guy back. The shadow dude couldn't believe Setsu's strength, asking why he was such a powerhouse. But Setsu just told him to quit while he was ahead. Refusing to back down, the shadow guy unleashed his ultimate move, surrounding himself in an impenetrable armor with some fancy technique called limit break. He charged at Setsu like a bull, smashing him with all he had. Setsu took a beating, but he wasn't about to throw in the towel. Summoning every ounce of his determination, Setsu got back on his feet, focusing all his energy into his trusty sword. With one mighty swing, he shattered the guy's armor, although his sword took a beating in the process. But that didn't stop the shadow dude. He kept coming at Setsu like a runaway train. Meanwhile, Toma, on his way to Desastre's castle, realized that his pals had been taken out. Bursting into Desastre's office, he crashed their little meeting, declaring that the war would rage on as long as he had breath in his lungs. As Setsu charged into the palace, his top priority was to check on his pals, stirring a bit of envy in Toma's heart. Toma felt a twinge of jealousy, knowing Setsu's loyalty lay with his buddies. But Toma was dead set on a showdown between just the two of them, believing it would change everything. With tension thick enough to cut with a knife, Setsu and Toma clashed swords, each strike echoing like thunder. Toma, flaunting his flashy moves, hurled bolts of lightning at Setsu, causing the palace to shake and the sky to split. Levia watched in awe, recognizing that these two were playing in a league of their own. Undeterred, Setsu egged Toma on to bring his A-game. With lightning-fast reflexes, Setsu deflected Toma's energy blasts with his trusty blade. But Toma wasn't about to back down. He danced around Setsu, landing sly hits that caught him off guard. Toma couldn't resist poking fun at Setsu, teasing him for being a bit rusty. Frustrated, Setsu kicked things up a notch. Disarming Toma, he delivered a knockout punch to Toma's smug mug. But Toma wasn't going down without a fight. Pushing Setsu back, he transformed his sword into a monstrous cannon, blasting a hole through the palace walls. Setsu, more determined than ever, charged at Toma with fire in his eyes. With a swift kick, he sent Toma flying out of the castle, their battle taking to the skies. Toma, desperate to gain the upper hand, unleashed a barrage of bullets from his transformed weapon. But Setsu wasn't alone. Drawing on his inner strength, he summoned Gluttony, the devourer of attacks, to shield him from Toma's onslaught. With fierce determination, Setsu channeled energy into his swords, launching a devastating counterattack against Toma. As Setsu's butt is rolled in, he breathed a sigh of relief, happy they were safe. But Toma was seething, recalling Setsu ditching him for his new pals. Toma revved up his magical mojo, tapping into the same power from their last brawl. With fire in his eyes, Toma vowed to settle things once and for all, even if it meant going all out. As he unleashed his beefed-up power, his weapon morphed, showing off some limit-breaking action. No time wasted, Toma blasted Setsu with all he had, but Setsu danced around his attacks like a pro. Toma's rage peaked, and he aimed his weapon at Setsu's crew. Despite Setsu trying to shield them, some blasts slipped through, forcing his buds to conjure up a protective shield. But Setsu wasn't about to let Toma have the last laugh. He slashed and hacked, shattering Toma's weapon to bits. Toma stumbled, memories flashing before him, igniting his anger even more. But just when Setsu was about to end it, Toma unleashed a massive cannon blast, sending Setsu crashing. Thinking he had won, Toma watched as Setsu rose from the rubble. With a swift move, Setsu trapped Toma in a trippy dimensional barrier, nullifying his weapon. As the ground shook, Toma begged for mercy, reminding Setsu of his promise. But Setsu stood firm, sealing Toma's fate within the barrier's confines. As Toma blinked awake, still alive and kicking, he couldn't fathom why Setsu spared him. Setsu spilled the beans, revealing his plan to snap Toma out of the curse controlling him with his mystical blade. Despite Toma's laundry list of wrongs, Setsu insisted on giving him a chance to make things right. Later, Setsu, flanked by Desastre and Regulus, paid Toma a visit in his cell. They dropped the bombshell. Toma's penance was to use his magic to send the students back home. This gig would drain his powers, reducing him to mere mortal status. Setsu floated the idea of Toma joining the students in their world for a fresh start, but Desastre made it clear that Setsu's plea was the only reason Toma was getting off the hook. Reluctantly, Toma carried out his punishment, teleporting the students back to their world. That night, Setsu approached Toma and questioned why he didn't tag along with the students. Toma spilled his heart, confessing his desire to repent for his misdeeds by traversing the very world he once sought to annihilate. As they bid farewell outside the castle, Setsu and Toma shared a tearful goodbye. Desastre, unable to contain her emotions, begged Setsu to take her along, but Tia reminded her of their duties. Yuui then joined them, reaffirming her commitment to stick with Setsu through thick and thin. With hearts set on adventure, Setsu and Yuui embarked on their journey, venturing from one realm to another. That's it for this video. Watch the following video, and I'll catch you in the next one.